Physiology of renal system. This is a series of videos on the renal system physiology. This would be an introductory video to the renal system. In this video, we will talk in general about the kidneys, the renal blood flow, and at the end of the video, we will take a look into a general functions of the renal system. Like and subscribe for more free medical contents. The renal system is composed of 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. Most of the topics in this series will be about the kidneys. We have a video on the micturition reflex related to the urinary bladder and the urethra, but most of our videos will be on the kidneys. Kidneys are bean-shaped retroperitoneal structures located at T12 to L3, protected by the 11th and the 12th ribs. The right kidney is situated just below the liver, while the left kidney is situated below the diaphragm. The right kidney is pushed down by the liver, and that's why it's slightly lower than the left kidney. The kidney is composed of outer renal capsule, which is a fibrous connective tissue protecting the kidneys from the outside. We find the renal cortex when we remove the renal capsule, and the cortex is the outer layer of the kidney. Deep into the cortex, we find the medulla, the inner layer of the kidneys, composed of about 10 renal pyramids. Renal lobe is a section composed of part of the cortex and one renal pyramid from the medulla. Medullary pyramids empties its contents into the minor calyx. Minor calyx empties into major calyx. All major calyces empties into the renal pelvis. Then the contents pass to the ureters and then into the urinary bladder as urine. Renal blood flow. As we mentioned before, the kidneys are bean-shaped. It has a concave structure, and on the concavity of it we find a structure we call the renal hilum. The renal hilum is where blood vessels and nerves supplying the kidneys enter and leave, and we also find the ureters exiting through the renal hilum. Renal blood flow is about 1 to 2 liters per minute. It's about 20 to 25% of the cardiac output. 90% of the renal blood flow supply the renal cortex, while only 10% supply the medulla. Regulation of renal blood flow. The renal blood flow is characterized by something we call autoregulation, meaning that the kidneys could control the amount of blood entering, and thus it's not affected by changes in systemic blood pressure. The autoregulation process is explained by myogenic response, which is the smooth muscles of the kidney arterioles. It constricts and dilates, adjusting the amount of blood entering the kidneys. Also, we have humoral factors, and these are the substances that are mixed with blood, and it exerts its effects when reaching the kidneys. For example, nitric oxide causes vasodilatation. Angiotensin II is a strong vasoconstrictor. Other causes: the sympathetic nervous system. It decreases the renal blood flow by causing the renal arterioles to constrict. Catecholamines decreases the renal blood flow by vasoconstriction. Dopamine increases renal blood flow by vasodilatation. Prostaglandins. Some of these prostaglandins are dilators, like prostaglandin I2, and some of them are constrictors, like thromboxane A2. And that's why chronic use of aspirin decreases renal blood flow and may contribute to acute renal injury. Aspirin inhibits the synthesis of prostaglandins that are important for vasodilation, thus leading to a lower renal blood flow. And the final segment of this video about general functions of the renal system: excretion of waste products. The kidneys get rid of toxic substances of the body, like urea and uric acid, by excreting them into urine. Regulation of extracellular fluid volume. And the kidneys regulate the extracellular fluid volume by either excretion of excess water into urine or preservation of water. If someone is dehydrated, for example, the kidneys reabsorb water back into the body, thus increasing the extracellular fluid volume. Regulation of extracellular fluid osmolarity. by reabsorption or excretion of solids, thus regulating osmolarity. Regulation of extracellular fluid electrolytes by excretion and reabsorption of solids. Regulation of systemic blood pressure. The kidney cells are sensitive to pressure changes. Some kidney cells produce an enzyme we call renin, which is crucial for blood pressure control. pH regulation, and the kidneys regulate the acid-base balance, and we're going to have a separate video about the acid-base balance. And last but not least, the endocrine functions of the kidneys. The kidneys produces hormones like erythropoietin, which is an important hormone for the red blood cell synthesis. And that's why people with chronic kidney disease often suffers from anemias. Vitamin D activation takes place in the kidneys. And as we mentioned before, renin is produced from kidney cells, and it's so important in blood pressure regulation. So that was our first video, an introduction to the renal system. We're going to take a look at the nephrons, the kidney cells. Thanks for watching.